friends. Okay, wait. So when we do the animals are my friend, you can do whatever animal you want. So like, if I was standing, I could do the monkey animals are, or like elephant or whatever. So just take a moment, think of your favorite animal, embody your favorite animal. And then when it comes out, just let it loose, okay? Okay. I love nature. Nature is cool. The forest is my classroom. The earth is my school. The trees are my teachers. The animals are my friends. And on this school, all life depends. One more time. I love nature. Nature is cool. The forest is my classroom. The earth is my school. The trees are my teachers. The animals are my friends. And on this school, all life depends. And on this school, all life depends. Yay, thank you.
Testing, testing. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Let us enjoy sitting solidly but relaxingly, with our back straight, but not stiff. Relaxed with our shoulders and our arms, and our mind collected in the body by way of following our breathing. So as the breath comes in, we enjoy the coming in of the breath. As the breath goes out, we enjoy the leaving of the breath. And just like that, we dwell in the present moment. Let us start with a short breathing exercise, a couple of short breathing exercises together. And you can choose to close your eyes or keep them open. It's up to you. The exercises have some key words that will help us to to ground our mind in the present moment. Breathing in, I'm aware of my in-breath. Breathing out, I am aware of my out-breath. Aware of in-breath, aware of out-breath. Breathing in, I am aware of my whole body. Breathing out, I relax my whole body. Aware of body, relaxing body. Breathing in, I am aware of my mental activities. Breathing out, I calm my mental activities. Aware of mental activities, calming. Breathing in, I enjoy my in-breath. Breathing out, I enjoy my out-breath. Enjoy an in-breath, enjoy an out-breath. Let us continue to enjoy our breathing while we're listening to 3 more sounds of the bell. Good morning, dear teacher, dear brothers and sisters, dear friends. Welcome to Blue Cliff Monastery, and a special welcome to the WPU students. There's a whole bus of you. Welcome. Is this your first time to Blue Cliff? I'm going to write a question on the board. What am I here for? This is not to interrogate you or to intimidate. It's actually a question for all of us, whether we are new or whether we have been practicing meditation for some time. It's a question for you, and it's also a question for me. We can take a moment to contemplate and to reflect. I don't know if anybody would like to shout out your answer if you have one. If something comes up in your mind, please. Mindfulness. Anybody else? To learn. Am I here? I should also say that this is not a philosophical question, so therefore we don't need a philosophical answer. But if you have one in mind already, don't hesitate to share. Experience. Yes? To heal myself. To support happiness in my life. To try and relax. I am home. Okay. Anybody else? Yes?
To clear my mind.
To clear my mind. Okay. To come back to my true home. To love and to serve. One more? To spend time with my family. Wonderful. Thank you for your answers. I will then proceed to offer you an orientation of the practices here. So all of us have different questions, but they're all sort of related. And I'm very happy that you know what you're here for, because some of us might not. Mindfulness is a practice which we do here. It's another word for meditation. Mindfulness is the energy of awareness. Awareness of what is going on inside ourselves and what is going on all around us. There is the physical aspect of it and the mental aspect of it. And how to go about cultivating that energy that we call mindfulness or awareness. Here we have two basic practices that we do every day. It's called mindful breathing. And mindful walking. This morning, many of us have practiced that already together, the mindful walking, but I will start with the mindful breathing. We also have just done that with the short exercises. The simplest exercise to do is to simply recognize that there is an in-breath and an out-breath. That's the basic practice, the foundational practice of mindfulness. Because when we are mindful of the breath, our mind is present with the body, and with that we might be able to recognize many things that is happening in us and also around us. There might be joy present, there might be sadness present. Anything that's present within us, we're able to recognize when the mind is back with the body. And also, we might be able to recognize what's happening around us. Is the sun shining? Is it raining? Is our friend, our loved one next to us, is she or he happy or sad? Once we have that recognition, we will be able to help contributing to making ourselves more relaxed, more calm, more happy. And the same thing we can do for our loved ones. So it's very basic and very simple. Yet it requires constant efforts. We forget all the time. But once we remember, we come back to the breath, because the breath is always with us, wherever we go. And so it's the simplest and the most useful tool that we have to cultivate the energy of mindfulness. Mindful walking. We walk all the time, every day. But most often our mind might not be present while we're walking. We're thinking about the destination where we're coming, or about anything else but what is happening in the moment, which is we're making the steps. And so mindful walking simply means being mindful of your steps. When we walk, we just walk. So before you came inside, many of us have already practiced walking meditation as a group. But throughout your stay today in the monastery, you are invited to practice mindful walking. From here to the foyer to retrieve your shoes, walking across the street to the dining hall, wherever you walk on the grounds here. See if you could practice mindful walking. Apply awareness to your step. And in order to do that, we're invited to not talk while we walk. So we just invest 100% in the action of walking, so that the mind can fully be present. Because if we're walking and also talking at the same time, the mind is divided. And when there's division, attention is divided, and the energy of mindfulness is divided, and so it's become more difficult to cultivate that energy. And so it's an invitation during your stay here to try that. And we have friends all around to help us. If we forget and we look at another person walking mindfully and peacefully, that's a reminder for us to do the same. I said earlier that it is a foundational practice because of the practical aspect of it. It applies to ourselves. Many of us might learn Buddhism as a philosophy, but if we don't get in touch with the practical aspect of Buddhism, and we're sort of like just floating and not grounded. This practice requires us to be grounded. I will share with you a story. I read from the Sutra of 100 Parables, or examples. And this one, I just named it The Philosopher. So Once upon a time, there was a town where many people were residing there, and there was a businessman. One day he's taking a walk in the neighborhood and to the next village, and he happened to see a beautiful mansion, like a 3-story mansion. Very beautiful, very ornate. And he especially liked the 3rd floor, the top floor. It looks really nice, and he wishes to have one similar mansion made for himself. And so he came back and he looked for an architect and some construction people and expressed his wish to have a mansion made. And he said, especially the 3rd floor, the last floor, I like that the most, and probably the only thing that I liked. And so the architect said, okay, we'll do it for you. And then they negotiated and they had an agreement. A few weeks later, he walked by the plot of land that he had for the building, to build his mansion. And he saw they were busy building the foundation. And so he came and asked the architect, what are you doing? The architect said, well, to build a 3-story building, I need to set a foundation, I need to build the 1st floor, I need to build the 2nd floor, I need to build the 3rd floor, and then it will be complete. And he said, no, I don't need that. I don't need the 1st floor, I just need the 3rd floor. I just need the top, because I like it the best. Don't worry about the 1st and the 2nd. I have no need for that, just the 3rd. And so the architect sort of looked at him and whimsically smiling with all the other construction people. And they thought he was crazy, so they just left. They left him. Anyhow, the story gives us, the idea is without foundation, nothing can be built upon. And so to practice and to benefit from the practice, we need to be grounded. We need to set a foundation. And the foundation needs to be there constantly in order to uphold the rest. And so the same with our practice. Mindful walking, mindful breathing are basic practices. But for some of us who practice for a long time, we might take that for granted. And then we pay attention to all the lofty ideals in Buddhism, all the beautiful images, all the philosophies, which is meant to solidify, to explain, to vindicate the practices. We neglected the basic practice, and we only want to stay with the lofty ideals. Just as the businessman wanted only the 3rd floor and not the foundation. So the philosopher, I just call it that story with that name. Let us enjoy one sound of the bell and come back to our breathing. So these 2 practices you can already be doing throughout the day today. Mindfulness we practice involves all aspects of our lives, the physical aspects and the mental aspects. The physical aspects includes our body, of course, and all the physical objects around us. Our actions, activities that we conduct throughout the day, and to increase or to cultivate the energy of mindfulness in our daily lives through our bodily action, the physical aspect of our being. And it's simply putting attention and gentle awareness into all of our activities, or as much as we can. For example, when we come into the hall, were we able to notice or be aware of how we place our shoes or where we place our shoes? When we open or close the door, were we aware of that action, or which hand we used to hold the knob? Or when we eat a meal, or were we aware that we were eating, or we're thinking about something else? When we park our car and walking to the classroom or to work, were we there for that moment, closing the door, lock the door, and leave the parking lot? So all of our activities throughout the day can be considered ordinary activities, but with the light of this gentle awareness, mindfulness, everything becomes sacred, everything becomes meaningful and fresh. And to practice meditation or mindfulness is about practicing in the present moment. It's not about the past, it's not about the future. Life only exists in the present moment, and it's a moment-to-moment practice. One cannot really say, oh, I'm already mindful. I'm finished. I don't have to do it anymore. It's sort of like when we say, oh, I have eaten, I'm full. I don't need to eat anymore. But it's actually not true. You get hungry again. So you have to continue to feed yourself. And so the same with the practice, it should be continuous. And that's why the foundation is important. Physical activity, anything that we do throughout the day, if we're able to breathe in this energy of mindfulness, then we are meditating at that moment. So meditation is not just about coming into a meditation hall to sit. That is also meditation and cultivation of mindfulness, but not the only thing. If we are skillful and creative, we can bring meditation into all aspects of our lives. Here we have the schedule that we put the word meditation pretty much at the end of everything. Sitting meditation, walking meditation, working meditation, eating meditation. The only thing we didn't put in is meeting meditation, but it's supposed to be implied already. And when you meet we sit with calmness and share our insights. It can be a meditation practice. The other aspect is the mental aspect, the emotional, the intangible part of our being. That's also a realm of practicing mindfulness, and it's very vast. But before we get to that, we need to establish again the foundation with the physical aspect of our being. So that, because with the physical world, it's the tangible things that we can actually see, touch, or feel. And so the application of the practice is tangible, we can see. And if we're able to be trained in that to a certain extent, then it is easier for us to get in touch with the mental aspect of ourselves, the intangible world. That's also very much a part of us. When we cultivate the energy of mindfulness, we nourish joy and happiness in ourselves, and at the same time, hopefully in others, And with that energy, we will also be able to deal with pain, with suffering, with difficulties inside ourselves, and also inside others. There are practices that would help us to take care of this intangible side of ourselves. For example, when we have a feeling or emotion comes up, it could be a sadness or a disappointment or a difficulty. What we can do first is to come back to our breathing, mindful breathing. After a few in and out breaths, where we calm ourselves down and calm the emotion down, we have a chance to take a look and to be with that emotion, to breathe with it. And at some point, it will subside. If there's a feeling of excitement, we can also do the same. And so to cultivate mindfulness with this intangible aspect of us, whatever arises in our mind, we recognize. Just simply recognize the emotion, the feeling, the thought, habits, and just let it be, let it go. When we're able to do that, we're also cultivating this energy of mindfulness. Our teacher talks quite extensively on the practice of how to cultivate joy using this energy of mindfulness, and also how to transform suffering and pain using this energy of mindfulness. And there are many talks by our teacher and other brothers and sisters. You can look online for them. They're on YouTube. And there's a wealth of knowledge and experience shared concerning this field. Let us enjoy another sound of the bell. I want to tell you another story. This one I call The Enthusiast. But before I tell the story, the practices that we do here, again, I share that it's grounded. It helps to ground us. But also there's the gentleness, the ease side of the practice. Some of us might be too eager to practice or too enthusiastic, and we might go overboard. And that can also be unbeneficial. So the story has to do with salt. So these two friends went to a coffee shop, ordered salted caramel latte. One of them is the first time. And so when they got their coffee, they sit down and enjoy. And then the friend with the new drink, I don't taste any salt in here. It doesn't taste so good. But the other one was enjoying his, like, oh, this is wonderful, salted caramel latte. And so the friend with the new drink said, okay, maybe I should go and ask for some salt. And so he did. The person on the counter sprinkled some salt on his drink, and he drank it. Wow, it is good. It tastes really nice. And then he went home, and then he thought about it. It's like, wow, salt. It makes the coffee taste so good. maybe if I put it on everything that I eat, I can derive the same satisfaction. Or better yet, I just eat salt. So he got a gulp full of salt. Of course, that didn't work. So when we practice, we might be very enthusiastic, and we just want to learn, to read, and we accumulate a lot of things, and then we'll have indigestion. Or in this case, the guy thought that salt was the best, so that's all that he ate. And so it didn't help him, but it injured him. Another story. This one I call the dreamer. In a remote village, there was a pond with some trees around it. And one evening, the weather is quite cold but clear. It's one late afternoon. There's a young man walk leisurely in the forest, and he came by the pond and sat down and relaxed. And he looked out at the pond. Then he saw something shimmering in the middle of the pond. So he stood up and got closer and tried to look, and he recognized that something looks like a piece of gold at the bottom of the pond. And so he decided to go get that piece of gold. So he waded out in the middle of the pond, trying to get hold of the piece of gold, but he couldn't. It got all wet and cold. So he went back up to the edge of the pond and sat down and shivering. But he was determined, I'd like to get this piece of gold. So he waited for the pond to calm again. Then he saw the piece of gold again. He said, it's right there. I will get it this time. And of course, he waited out again. He's trying very fast to jump in and to grab the gold. And all he got was mud. So he got very frustrated, came back out of the pond, sat there grumpily, and waited again. So he did this a couple of times until his father happened to walk by and saw him and said, what are you doing? Why are you all shivering and all wet? And he said, I saw a piece of gold in the pond and I want to get it. I think if I were to get it and sell it, I can buy many things for us. And the father looked, and the father realized his son was mistaken. He said, son, there's nothing in the pond. It's just a reflection of something. Maybe what you're trying to find is in the tree. So look up on the branches, maybe something there that's reflecting onto the surface of the pond. And so he looked, and he saw there is a piece of gold on the branch, kind of veering out to the pond, and that's why the reflection of it was inside the pond. And so he was able to climb up and get it. And then they walked back happily. Sometimes when we practice, and these are for those of us who've been practicing for some time, we can be a little more careful because we might believe we know something. We have the truth already, but it might be just a reflection, and we might not get to the truth. And so we need wise friends to show us the way. And that's why practicing in a group is very beneficial, because sometimes we might be too confident in our ability to see things, but we might not. Sometimes we might, sometimes, but sometimes we're not. And so with friends practicing around us, they might be able to help us to see better and to adjust our view. So that's the dreamer. I have a few more minutes. So let us enjoy another sound of the bell and come back to our breathing. The sound of the bell helps us to come back to the present moment as we have practiced. And so throughout today, I would like to invite you to practice listening to the bell. We have the bell in the hall like this one. We also have an activity bell hanging on the tree outside. We also have the clock in the dining hall chiming every 15 minutes. So we utilize these sounds to help remind ourselves to come back to the present moment. So when we hear them, let us stop what we're doing. If we were talking, we'll stop talking and come back to the breath. It's not a freeze. It's a gentle relaxation, a gentle coming back to the breath. If we were walking, we'll stop, come back to the breath. We might choose to smile, have a light smile on our face to relax the whole body. If we were carrying something, we can put it down. If we were thinking about something, we can let go of that thinking, just come back to the breath. If we were eating, we place the spoon or the fork down and come back to the breath. If we're chewing, we can also stop. But if we were swallowing, make sure we finish that. And then come back to the breath. You will find that it might be a little bit challenging at first, but if you are open and flow with the community, you will be able to experience the benefit of slowing down, of stopping. And after the sound ends, we resume what we were doing. I also like to mention a little bit about eating meditation. It's also a wonderful practice to cultivate mindfulness energy. We will have a chance to enjoy lunch together. So when we hear the sound outside invited, we come back to our breath, enjoy the breathing, and when the sound is finished, we find our way to the dining hall, to the serving area, and we lined up to serve ourselves food. And we're invited to do that in silence, observing our breathing and our standing meditation. And as we move up the line, we join our palms to bow to the table. This action means bringing mind and body back to the present moment, and we place our heart level and we bow down, expressing our gratitude for the food being served. And then we pick up our plates or bowl or utensils and we proceed to put food on our plates. And we do all that in silence, awareness. And we come to the table, we find a place to sit, we continue to observe our breathing. And not to start eating until almost everyone is present. And we will hear the sounds of the bell inside the dining hall. And someone will recite the 5 contemplations before meals. And then after that, we will enjoy eating together in awareness. And we'd like to ask you to remain seated for the whole period of eating. Usually it's about 15 or 20 minutes without getting up, unless it's an emergency. For example, it might be you bit into a chili pepper or something, and you needed the extinguisher. But if you're able to remain seated and enjoy, we have plenty of time. It's also a practice to undo the habit that we have at home. Most of us eat in a hurry. Sometimes we eat while doing something. So while you're here, let that go and just enjoy the food, being present with your friends, with people around you, as long as you can. We encourage you to 30 times or more, each morsel before we swallow, so that we can aid the digestive process, so that our stomach won't have to work so much. We do half of the work for our stomach. And at the end of that silence period, we will hear 2 sounds of the bell, signaling that we now can get up to get seconds or go wash our dishes. And so we do all this in silence. After the 2 sounds of the bell ending the silence period, we may be able to share or have a conversation with our friends, but we don't have to. If we're not finished, we can continue to enjoy eating until we're finished, and go wash our dishes and then come back, and then we can have conversation. So all of these practices here are all conducive to cultivating this rest, this relaxation, this awareness. And so the practice is relaxing. Is not a struggle. And if we forget, it's okay. We don't have to beat ourselves up. We can always come back to the breath. I have one more story. I don't know if you still want to hear stories. This one I call the skeptic. The other aspect of practice is, the other extreme is being skeptical about everything. I'm not sure if that's worked for me. That's too much, I can't take it. So the story goes, this one, okay, we have story about men a lot. I'll say it's a woman. So this one lady, she was very thirsty. She needed something to drink. She was on a hike or something, and she ran out of water. And she was hoping that she would find something to drink. And this is a long time ago when the water in the wild is still fresh and drinkable. So she happened to approach this flowing river, very pristine. The water is very clear. And she arrived, and she stood at the bank and she looked at the river. And she just looked and looked and looked. Wow, she remained thirsty. So the passerby came and stood by her and also looked with her. And then he asked, "What are you doing? Or how are you?" She said, "I'm fine, but I'm very thirsty." And so this other person said, "Well, the water looks pretty clean. Maybe you should drink some." She said, "No, it's too much water. I cannot drink it. I only need a little bit, but this is too much. I cannot drink all of it." And she walked away. The other person's kind of... Sometimes when we approach a practice, and especially if we read so much, we may feel overwhelmed. I can't do this. This is too much for me. But if we're a little bit more skillful, we'll be able to decipher, I need something, and I only need to get as much as I need to satisfy my thirst. So if she was able to be mindful about her own situation and recognize her needs, what she needs, and she only need to get that much for herself, and not feeling overwhelmed. And the same for us when we approach a spiritual tradition or any practices. It's nothing. There's nothing wrong that we like to learn and open our mind and to get knowledge. But at the end of the day, we must find what it is that we need, and then utilize the appropriate amount or the appropriate techniques or the appropriate methods to remedy what we have. That would be the skillful way to approach the practice. And some of us are able to do that, and then some are not, myself included. And again, that's why we need the support of others around us to help guide us. So we can have maybe some time during the day, if you have some time to sit quietly, where you can reflect and see which one of these 4 persons you might find yourself to be. Maybe not all the times, but sometimes. Sometimes we're all of those 4. And see how we can do better. Are we the philosopher? Are we the dreamer? Are we the enthusiast? Or are we the skeptic? Mindfulness practice encompasses the physical landscape and the mental landscape. Physical, again, is our body and the physical world around us. Mental landscape involves the feelings, the emotions, thought habits, what we call mental formations, our perceptions, our consciousness. With the practice of mindfulness applied in the physical realm and the mental realm, we would be able to create a beautiful life for ourselves and for others, wherein peace and freedom, liberation, calmness, joy, happiness can be experienced. And at the same time, with the energy of mindfulness, we'll be able to make choices, make better choices for ourselves. Learn to transform our suffering, find a way out of difficult situations. Mindfulness is our teacher said, mindfulness is a source of happiness. It's not the only source, but it is a source of happiness. If we know how to cultivate it for our enjoyment and for the enjoyment of others around us. I mentioned a little bit about community, practicing in a group. It is very, very important. Both so that you can get the support from others, but at the same time to give support to others. And it's more fun to practice in a group. Here at Blue Cliff, we have a group we call a Sangha. We practice together. We have lay women, laymen, we have nuns, monks, all ages. We practice together. There's a lot of joy. And of course, there are also difficulties. There are also conflicts. There are challenges, obstacles. But with the practice, we'll be able to, and if we maintain the same aspiration the same focus, the same intention of what we're here for, then we're able to overcome the obstacles, to face the challenges with calmness, to resolve our difficulties. Thank you for listening and for your attention. We'll listen to 3 sounds of the bell and come back to the breath, and just let everything you heard, just let them go, and just come back to your breathing.